Nick, I believe you had a couple points to hit before we went into our Christmas movie ranking. This is a rant that you've held on to for quite a while.
For 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, you told me this was something you were going to bring up. So please, by all means,
I wanted to bring it up on the last episode, but because of like how we were going over the script, it just didn't fit because it made more sense to just get right into the script. So I'm going to get a little controversial here. I'm dropping Jujutsu Kaisen when season 2 is over. I cannot stand this series anymore. Allow me to explain. So for a little context, I'm watching it as it's airing right now. And I watched it when it initially came out. I watched like the first half of season 1 and then dropped it for a little bit, let it finish, and then I binged to the end. I watched the movie when it came out in theaters, and then I started watching season 2 because I was really excited about like the Gojo Geto arc, because I had read that in the manga and I was like, oh, it was really good in the manga. I really like that. And then we get to the Shibuya arc, and I'm like, okay, I've heard everyone say this is really depressing. Now, obviously, a lot of depressing things happen. That's the problem, is that a lot of depressing things happen. And what has me so frustrated is that back to back, 2 weeks in a row, 2 very significant characters die. One, I kind of get. I'm like, okay, it was okay that he died. Like, that made sense based on his character. I'm not happy about it. I feel like he didn't make a significant enough contribution to the plot to be killed off, but it's whatever. And then the second one, I was not expecting this. I had heard about it, but I wasn't expecting it because I thought it was like further down the line. Is one of my favorite characters is now dead. Yeah. And I'm so sad about that. Because it was completely preventable on her part. Like, this wasn't like oh no, she jumped off the wrong building and then didn't catch herself and splatted against the ground. No, like, for no reason whatsoever, entirely anti her character, she just stopped moving. She just stood still. And then the bad guy was like, oh, gotcha. And then she died. And we got a whole flashback episode of like her with her friend. And everyone was like, oh, she's totally going to live, right? Boom. Nope, she's dead. Gone. And I'm like, okay, but why? So here's my bigger issue with Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, those two were kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on an episode before. My hot take is that Jujutsu Kaisen should not have Yuji as the protagonist, which I know Jackson can't really weigh in here because he's never seen it.
No, not really.
If you want a great description of Jujutsu Kaisen in a sentence, it's becoming the Antichrist through the power of finger licking good. And I'll leave you with that. So my bigger overall issue with Jujutsu Kaisen is I never felt like I got attached to Yuji throughout season 1 at all. Like, obviously I liked him. He's a very enjoyable character, but he never felt like the main character because the main character always felt like Gojo, which is then later reinforced when the movie came out. And I was like, okay, so we got Yuta. Yuta's cool, but then he's gone. And then we got Gojo, and I'm like, dude, Gojo's kind of cool. Gojo's kind of sick, bro. He's epic. And then you get to the first half of season 2, or like the first 5 episodes, which is this whole flashback with Gojo and Geto and all of like the friends that he went to school with, and this tragic event that kind of changed them and set everybody on this course. And I think what happened is the author had this really solid setup of this cast of characters, and then decided to make it all a flashback and do something completely different. Because in modern Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't feel like there is an antagonist. Like, obviously there's Sukuna, and we're like, oh, we should fight the bad guy. And then, like, Geto's still out there, and they're like, but who's that guy? He got a little, like, brain thing in his head. That's kind of weird.
Wow.
But
he has a brain thing.
Yeah, he has a brain thing. It's kind of weird.
Is it like the minion from Megamind?
No, like, he literally has stitches on his forehead, and he can pull back the stitches, and his brain has a mouth on it. Like, it's weird.
Ew.
And I'm like,
what the heck?
So is that supposed to be the main antagonist? But I don't feel like this character has been set up as the main antagonist because you duped us into thinking that it was someone else. So I can't do Jujutsu Kaisen anymore. it's too confusing. All of my favorite characters are dead or sealed and are going to be killed later, probably. And it's not, I don't have an issue with killing characters. My bigger issue is that they're being killed for no reason, or almost being killed for a shock factor of like, but you didn't think this person was going to die, did you? Now they're dead. And, you know, other shows do that, like Attack on Titan does it all the time, where they're like, we're going to kill this character that you got attached to, so don't get attached to any characters. But then I never felt like they killed anyone. Like, Attack on Titan had a good balance of, we're going to kill this character you love, but you've gotten attached to them, and that's okay that they're dead, and they have a reason for dying, and their death was sacrificial, or their death was unfortunate. And I just feel like Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have that. So I'm not here to hate on people who love Jujutsu Kaisen. I know it's somebody's favorite anime of all time. You know, somebody out there really loves Jujutsu Kaisen as much as I love My Hero, and more power to you. It's just not for me. And, you know, maybe I'll watch it casually. Saying I'm dropping Jujutsu Kaisen is very strong. I will probably watch it very casually when, like, the inevitable season 3 rolls around, because I know some stuff of, like, what is coming in the manga.
Yeah.
And I'll probably, like, watch it casually, but once season 2 is over, I'm kind of like, I'm cool. Yeah. I'm cool with letting Jujutsu Kaisen go, because I have too much other stuff to watch.
Yeah.
That I'm like,
Yeah. And I don't know. I can't really weigh in because I haven't seen the show, but you know, not justifying a character's death is a really good way to portray your audience. Because it's really like these characters that your audience are getting connected to, and then you just unjustly kill them for plot and shock. Like the Rise of Skywalker does this, where they're like, oh my gosh, Chewbacca's dead, but he's not. And you're like, okay, this doesn't matter. Like, this doesn't.
What are you talking about? The Rise of Skywalker didn't kill anyone.
I mean, they tried to kill people for shock value, but didn't have the guts to actually do it. So, I understand. That's brutal. We were supposed to watch the movie this year for an episode and just didn't. But I don't know. Maybe next year, if you guys really, really want some Jujutsu Kaisen content,
I'll think about it, because I have to decide whether or not I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like for Jackson, it's one thing because he's watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, do I want to watch this again? Like, do I want to put myself through that again? Which is why I've talked about, like, if we do Jujutsu Kaisen, I might have you do the first 5 episodes of season 2 and then jump to the movie, because I really like the story that is told there, and I really like the characters there, and it does feel like that is a start and finish story, which I know Jujutsu Kaisen 0 was written as essentially a proof of concept to get Jujutsu Kaisen in Shonen Jump, because like it's like, hey, look, I wrote this thing with a really cool concept and really cool characters and like all that. Now you should give me a full series. And then the author went on to do the main series. But what sucks is he then went back and wrote more before the movie came, like before the movie. And it's like, if you want to do this, just, I don't know.
It's too complicated.
Too complicated.
Make it real.